Hello and welcome everyone. This is Type V3 and let's strip the patriotic paint down to the metal. This is the SH Figuarts War Machine Mark II, based on his appearance in Marvel's The Avengers Age of Ultron. If you're getting a sense of deja vu, it's easily due to the fact that this is a repaint of the SH Figuarts Iron Patriot figure released 1 year ago. No other physical changes have been made to it either. That said, what a gorgeous repaint this is. The simple silver and gunmetal color combo is hugely elevated by the matte metallic finish, and it just makes War Machine sparkle. The streamlined suit gives off sleeker proportions, and the sharp sculpting adds to the clean aesthetics. The joints are cleverly blended into the suit too. The Mark II isn't exactly the most striking suit, but its visuals aren't any less impressive. Of course, there's a couple issues I do have with War Machine. The most significant of these are the lack of military logos throughout the suit. There's no number 2 printed on the shoulder or any hint of the US Air Force. Secondly, I think the silver sections could have had their panel lines filled in to bring more depth to the sculpt. While both of these are minor flaws, they are the types of additions that would have completed the look. Height-wise, you're looking at a figure that stands just over the 6-inch mark. Scale with the other SH Figuarts Avengers seem correct, with no immediate inconsistencies. For articulation, War Machine's head is on a ball joint, and then there's, of course, a hinge at the base of the neck, which lets it go very far downwards, looks up pretty good, so for flight poses, you can have him looking straight forwards. The body at the top is a nice ball joint, which you can roll. It's awesome. The one at the waist, it's a bit tighter, and it's a bit harder to use, but it is movable. It's just that the high waist here can make things a bit troublesome. As for this gun mount here, you can tell it's on a hinge that goes forwards. You can also swivel it sideways, and then the gun itself has its own pivoting motion. Now, the entire arm can be removed. It doesn't slide on this rail, but you can position it on the other shoulder if that's what you like. And you can see they're just simple pegs that keep the whole thing connected together. The arms are connected by a barbell joint that goes from the shoulder into the torso, and you can tell that there's a secondary movable socket around there that lets it roll back and forth. It has good forward and backwards pivoting range, and then of course you can spin it 360 if that's what you like. The shoulder pad itself is just a simple hinge that basically covers the bicep cut, which you can just swivel pretty easily. The elbow itself is on a double hinge with some revealing armor bits. It's pretty simple, but it's cool. And then the wrists are just a simple ball joint connection. Nothing really too fancy going on there. Moving lower, you can see here that these hip skirts can flip outwards. This just gets out of the way of the leg for clearance. The legs themselves, they have the pull down Figuarts hips. They can move forwards, they can move outwards. Backwards is a little bit restricted by this armor plate, but it's nothing too troublesome. There isn't a thigh cut, instead you just have a straight ball joint connection here at the thigh, so in addition to rotating it, you can also sort of slightly angle the leg in the direction you need. You do have double jointed knees, pretty cool. They can look a bit squared off and strange, but it's alright. And as for the feet, what you have is a hinge or ball joint at the top. There is a ankle rocker. You do have a toe joint. It's a pretty stiff toe joint. This section of the armor does slightly move, and then there's a slight section at the back that also gets out of the way. And the entire feet, like on most Iron Man Figuarts, are all metal, so it keeps things pretty weighted. War Machine packs excellent articulation. Very few limitations exist. Almost all poses required can be achieved, and the die-cast feet ensure a perfect balance. Accessories are comprised of a mix of hands and effect parts. For hands, there's fists, open palms, flight hands, and blasting hands. Sadly, when swapping the hands, you'll also need to swap the hand guards as well, since only one pair of these are included. It's an unfortunate holdover from the Iron Patriot figure this toy is based on. The effect parts are fairly straightforward. There's flight parts for the hands and feet with some minimal white highlighting over the translucent plastic. For offensive purposes, there's 2 blast effects and a single machine gun effect. These aren't hugely interesting, still they do the job just fine. The SH Figuarts War Machine Mark II isn't a revolutionary release by any stretch, and I'm not even alluding to the fact that it's a straight repaint. Truth is, it's another Iron Man styled figuart, and it's one that doesn't attempt to raise the bar. Actually, there's also a fair argument suggesting that the Mark II is a step backwards from the Mark I, with the previous figure offering more interesting features. Its greatest quality is easily the gorgeous matte metallic finish, though even its appeal might not mean much if your tastes tend to fall more in line with glossier paints. As for the accessories, they're fine, yet we'll need a flight stand to take full advantage of them. Don't get me wrong, War Machine's definitely a great toy, it just has a been there, done that sort of vibe. Ultimately, it all comes down to perspective. If this is going to be your first taste of the SH Figuarts Iron Man, you'll be impressed. On the other hand, if you've been keeping up with all the releases, this will just be another armor to add to the collection. But that's all for me. Thanks for watching, and I'm sick of looking at the heroes, so when Avengers coverage returns, a villain will take the spotlight.